Heuristics is another word for rule of thumb or practical tips. This video and this section is going to be quite a short section compared to the others because I just wanted to give you some handy tips that you can apply to your own design process to make it more suitable for design for distributed. These rules don't apply every time, but they should help guide your thinking when trying to optimize your design for digital fabrication or distribution online. Number 1, standardized materials and components. By using standard materials, you make it easier and more accessible for your designs to be locally fabricated. There are many regional and international standards that govern the dimensions of stock materials. So for example, plywood typically comes in 3mm increment thicknesses. So by optimizing your designs to use these standard materials, you make it easier for local producers and local manufacturers to fabricate your designs because they don't need to buy specialist or unique stock materials, which could be more expensive and therefore prohibitive to some people. Number 2, make your design understandable. Be sure to highlight all of the nuts and bolts that hold your design together. Don't try to hide components, disguise materials, and cover up the overall construction of your design. Because by doing this, you make it harder for the user to build, maintain, and disassemble your product. It's good to be visually honest with the user and to make the design as intuitive as possible so that they understand how it was put together. This way, it empowers the user to be able to maintain their own product and have a closer relationship with the product in that way. Number 3, avoid specialized tools. By using custom patterns, custom molds, and custom jigs, you make it less accessible to those who don't have the right tooling. My tip would be, assume the person who's making your design only has access to digital fabrication and basic hand tools. Basic hand tools like screwdrivers, files, hammers, and knives. Let me show you what I mean by talking you through these two prototypes from the tension chair project. This chair uses standardized components. This is 21mm plywood. These are standard ratchet straps that you can buy from any hardware store. And this is blue rope, basic rope, and you can use any kind of rope. You can use an old seat belt, you can use electrical cable. So this chair is only constructed from materials that most people throughout the world could have access to. If you take a look at the design of this chair, it's very clear about how it's constructed. I mean, the tensegrity structure is part of the illusion to this floating seat illusion, but the materials are honest. There are no hidden materials, no hidden components. Even the screws that hold the seat together are visible. This way, the user can see intuitively how it's put together. I wanted to show you this prototype, which uses steel rope instead of the straps, and explain to you why I decided not to progress this design. You see, in order to assemble the steel wire without specialized crimping tools to crimp the swages on the ends of the cables, I had to use these saddle clips, which use a spanner to tighten. But this was very fiddly work. It was very intricate. The steel is quite hard on your hands. It's difficult to work with. And so in terms of accessibility to assembling the steel wire without specialized tools compared to the strap, which requires no extra tooling at all, it made sense to stick to the strap and to stay clear from the rope design, which might look nicer, depending on whether you prefer the straps or the steel, but ultimately requires tooling that some people might not have access to. Hopefully these tips will help guide your thinking and guide your process when it comes to the decision making towards design for distributed. These rules might not be applicable to your project every single time, but I just wanted to provide some heuristics that will help the process and to give you some practical tips you can apply to your design.